Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am very excited to have with me my guest, Rhonda Parker Taylor. And let me tell you about Rhonda. She is an American writer, entrepreneur, and academic researcher. She was born in October 1964 in Noblesville, Indiana, and she's the second youngest of 5 children to Anita and William Parker, founder of Steel Manufacturing Company. Rhonda's childhood was spent in the midst of cornfields and cows, attending Heritage Christian School in Indianapolis. And after completing a fashion merchandising program at Balder College in Arlington, Texas, Rhonda returned to Indiana, where she eventually found her passion in writing. Her debut novel, Crossroads, a suspenseful masterpiece, was released in February 2023. Endorsed by best-selling author J.J. Herbert and Golden Globe-nominated actress Mariel Hemingway, the novel has been hailed as a captivating crime thriller that keeps readers intrigued from the start to the finish. While pursuing academic exploration, Rhonda attended University of Phoenix for a doctoral program in business and earned an MBA and a bachelor's in science management from Indiana Wesleyan University. Rhonda's diverse writing spans from educational works to fiction, and she is well known for her research on emotional intelligence. Today, we're going to just talk to you about becoming a best-selling author. I know I have guests from time to time that talk about this. The best way to get to show your credibility, to get to be known, is to be in a book or write a book. So I think you all should get your listening ears on, get your pens and paper ready, and let's delve into this. Welcome, Rhonda Parker Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm so excited to share with people about challenging their limited beliefs, because had I not chosen to do that in my own life, a lot of the things that I excelled in would never have happened, because often our biggest obstacle is ourselves.
Yeah.
And for me, as an author, an entrepreneur, and an academic researcher, all 3 of them required me to stop limiting myself, stop listening to those negative voices that says you can't, you shouldn't, you wouldn't, you're not capable, all of those things that come in our minds as entrepreneurs and business women, and even young women and men in life. So many times it holds us back. And for me, as an author, and all those out there that are thinking about doing a book, maybe have a book done, or in the process of it, I had to confront that. That was the number one thing to becoming a best-selling author. I chose the traditional route. I had a publisher pull out. And then I was left with this thing like, what am I going to do with it? And I sat it on my desk and let it gain some dust for a little while till my accountability partner said, when are you going to do something with those novels you wrote? And of course, the accountability partner happened to be my older sister. And I said, well, I'm busy with this client and I'm busy with that client and I'm doing this. She said, no, that's not it. Because if it had been one of your clients, it would have already been published and it already, the second and third would have been out there. I was limiting myself. She said, you are afraid to be vulnerable. And I'm like, no, I'm not. That's not the case at all. Why, at my age, I'm seasoned, I'm confident, I'm doing all these things. But I didn't have actionable steps. I thought of it as throwing a goal out there way in the future. And I didn't surround myself with the people and the tools and the resources to take that task on. And that's anything, whether it's academics. I found that I was doing that to myself, whether it was my consulting, I was doing the same thing until I got that, embraced not only the opportunity, but realized there are going to be some failures too.
Yeah.
And you have to be vulnerable. Have you ever been in that situation?
Oh, of course. And you're also, you talked earlier about this, but it is really, when you put yourself out there, when you put that book out there, there's that fear of rejection.
Oh, definitely.
That you put your heart and soul in this and people might not like it.
Right. And you do get, that was what my sister said. Don't read the reviews. Just put it out there. Go and do it. And luckily I've had some, good reviews. And, I was endorsed by Merrill Hemingway. I'll tell you, that was the thrill of my lifetime for my generation. That is that is the Kardashian. That is the one, even bigger than the Kardashians, because she has an Academy Award winning actress. And then she's also the granddaughter of Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
But listen to her YouTube video. I knew I could do it. It's like I had to have that external validation. So all you leaders out there, remember, all your people that you're supposed to be pushing and molding, and they don't always have all the internal motivations and confidence. Sometimes they do need that little push. So I listened to the YouTube video and listened to her story of why she put it in her book club. And then at the very end, she was talking about her own journey, because Crossroads, even though it's a suspense crime thriller, what my hopes was that I could entertain people to realize that when your life is out of balance, you just aren't paying attention to your real life. You're focused on your work, or you're focused on your friends, or you're focused on your family so much that you have lost yourself. And so these are people that I've hopefully created that are thrown into a jury box and thrown in the courtroom together. And they're people just like us that have been out of balance somewhere and have gotten involved in the legal system from some point. The main character is because she's a workaholic and she wants to get out of jury duty because she needs to work. And here we are. She still has to do her civil duty, right?
Yeah.
So she's sitting there for a murder of a 15-year-old girl, evaluating, why am I here? What am I supposed to learn? Who are these people? These aren't even people that I would normally, deal with. And she starts realizing that she's missing out on a lot about life. Yeah. So I tried to take that journey of entertainment and taking people to another place to help the reader also realize, wait a minute, I'm reflecting also on my own journey. And Merrill Hemingway put it best. We all come to a crossroads where we have to decide our path. And some decisions make you successful, failure. Some of them may not have that big of a stake in it, but you still have to make it. But even chocolate has an expiration date. And think about that. So Crossroads, here's the book cover for all you have never seen it, is about that journey. And so the Indianapolis area is the location of it. And the dead bodies found on the crossroads of a railroad track that actually And also Indiana is known as the Crossroads of America because we're right in the middle of everything, and all the railroad tracks always went through it. But it also is about the crossroads of life. And at the end, the three emotions that I want people to explore are anger, fury, and envy. And all of those could cause a crime. And possibly in our own lives cause destruction, if we're not managing it. How about you? Have you ever found that you've been in that?
Of course. I'm 66. It was lots of times. Well, so before we get a little further into this, I always start out with an easy first question. You kind of gave it away, and we did in the bio too, but are you still in Indiana area? Where do you live? Where do you call home?
So I originally was born in Noblesville, which is a small town in the suburbs of Indianapolis. It's a lot larger now. It's considered one of the best places to move in the United States now. But back then it was only like one or two lights when I grew up. I'm 2. So now I live in the Indianapolis area and I love it. And the Crossroads, I picked Indianapolis as the base for this series because I wanted people to explore not just only the journey of the people in it, but the different sites that you could see in Indianapolis, the city county building, the mayor's office, the Circle, Holiday Park, and the dead bodies dropped behind Lafayette Square Mall.
So good. And Indianapolis is a great place to visit too. I love visiting there.
Thank you.
All right. So we touched a little bit about your journey for writing, but did you seek out mentors, or did you just, besides your sister, did you just say, I'm just gonna sit down and write this? Was it something in your childhood too that you thought, I'd love to write, I'd love to tell stories?
Well, if you would have asked anybody, they would have said no. But if you look at any pictures, I always had a book in my hand. I loved reading and I loved storytelling. And I was limited, I thought, in this area. When I was younger, I didn't excel in English and math. Those are the two areas that I just really struggled. And I had teachers that had tutored me. And so that was kind of the beginning. And so then it became one of the scars. I go into college and I'm, you writing papers, and I found out I could excel. But I always had to spend more time editing than my co-partners or whatever it might be. And then I went into business, and my very first large proposal, I'd already had the desire to write a novel. I just hadn't gotten it all straight in my head and committed myself to it. And they ended up accepting the proposal to save all this money in this call center. But my boss pulled me into the office and said, you had a typo. You used the wrong insurer. I was humiliated, and I knew then that I had to be a better writer to be more successful. And I had to figure out a way of doing things. So right then I made 2 commitments. 1, get the resources I needed. And 2, write a best-selling novel.
Check.
But it was all about that realizing. And what I found out, it wasn't that I couldn't do it, that I wasn't sitting in documents long enough. I would want to push it out the door as fast as I could and do that check, like you said, and so I had to realize that it's not that first draft. It's not the second draft that goes out the door. It may be the 10th, 20th, 30th, 40th draft. And then you put it out the door. That's just the way my brain works. And even today when I text, have you ever sent a text to a friend?
And they were like, oh no.
Oh, I didn't have my glasses on. Oh, I had a glass of wine that time. Oh, I did this. And sometimes,
or it auto-corrected.
Right, autocorrect. Or sometimes it was just plain stupid.
Yeah, we have that too, for sure. All right. So what do you recommend to somebody who says, "Oh, Rhonda, I think I have a book in me," or someone that says, "I don't even know what I would write about"?
Well, first, get whatever for the first person that has a story in them, get the story out. Don't worry about the number of pages. Don't worry about any of that. Get the story that you think you want to write down. Out, whether it's through an outline, whether it's just writing it like a short story, whatever it might be. Get the story so you know the nuts and bolts of what you're wanting, to say. But then go back and figure the rest out. For me, my whole book, I got the story out. And then I started developing the characters more. I used a SOAP note for all the legal minds out there. A SOAP note, when you go into a doctor's office, they say, okay, what are you here for? What's your chief complaint, basically? And you say, oh, I got a sore throat. And then they say, well, what are you feeling? What's going on here? And they go through every body system, every mental issue you may have, everything you've been experiences, where you've traveled, everything. And so they write down everything you say. But then next to it, they write what they actually see. So sometimes a person's perception of what's going on is not the reality of what's going on.
Right.
And then they do a mental health assessment at the same time to see if it's actually physical, mental, or emotional. And so I did that on each one of my characters. Well, that changed the whole storyline, because it wasn't just about the story then. The characters kind of started tugging at me. Wait a minute. I'm the housewife and I'm happy to be at jury duty. And because I'm away from the kids, I'm getting to see something different. It's adding something different to my language. And then you have the one the friend that's going through the divorce, and she's unhappy that you're unavailable. And, so you start getting these tensions and things going on that allowed me to put little clues throughout the storyline based on the characters, which then changed some of the action because everybody's different.
Yeah. Very good. And I love that you said that, because, when I teach public speaking, especially to the students that I work with, and I always have to remind them it's not a shopping list whenever you're giving a speech or a story. It has to have the who, the what, the when, the where, the why to hook us and to make us be there and know that person and care about that person. And so that development of the character is really important. You talked about the fact that you went the traditional route. And so what is the difference? I use hybrid publishing often, but go between self-publishing and traditional for the audience. And what are the benefits and the pros and cons? Let's do it that way. Pros and cons.
Sure. So the traditional route, you go and it's probably online now, but at the beginning it was just a very large encyclopedia book that's published every year that has all your publishers, all your agents, all your everything in it. And it tells you what they'll accept, what they won't accept, what they're looking for, if they're even accepting new authors. And you write a query letter. Now it's mostly electronic. And then they'll tell you, like, for instance, submit the first chapter or submit 3 chapters or just the first page or whatever it is that their requirements are. Maybe it's just a synopsis of the book to basically sell the book, to them. And then they decide whether they want to read the whole manuscript. If they choose to follow down that route, then they'll have certain requirements that you might have to abide by. Maybe they want you to take certain things out or put certain things in, but then you get a contract and then they help you distribute it and publish it, but they have only a certain amount of budget. And it's basically a success or failure. Mine had gotten all the way to the end of the contract, ready to sign, we're ready to go, and then they pulled out after 2 years. So it's a very long process. And so that's why I was kind of disillusioned, and it's for a while. Hybrid, well, let's go to self-publishing. Self-publishing, you get all control of your creativity, but you're doing all the work.
Yeah, you are.
You have to make sure it gets uploaded to all the platforms, all the sites. And then you have to make sure it's, if you ever want it into a bookstore, you need to make sure it's on one of the big distribution centers like an Ingram Sparks, Ingram Group, something like that, or no bookstore. Not even the independent ones most likely will even carry it, because if it's not there, they can't order it. So, but self-publishers do have some benefits to that, because normally all the royalties are on your, for you, and everything's within your control. I also chose, after the disillusionment of the traditional route, the hybrid approach, because what I needed was somebody that knew the industry well enough to that I didn't have to research it and
guide you,
guide me through it. I didn't have to learn how to put a barcode on. I didn't have to figure out the copyrights and licensing and all of that. And they'll help edit, and they'll help do all of that to make sure it's a professional product.
Yeah.
And that's where your entrepreneurs really can learn from, because as an entrepreneur that's a writer, one thing that we forget is publishing and authorship is a business.
Yeah.
We often think of it just from the writer perspective. We don't look at it from that, wait a minute, books have to go out the door, and how are we going to get it there? So that hybrid approach, they also talk to you about marketing. They can tell you some of the successes and failures they've seen in the different industry, what category to put it on Amazon, where do librarians look at, and select their books, all of that. So that hybrid approach is excellent for the person, especially I have a job, I have a business that I have to run.
Yes.
And it allowed me that ability to do that. So the hybrid approach that I picked was with Mindster Media, which is JJ's baby, and Kevin Harrington from Shark Tanks.
Yes.
And they, after I submitted it to start getting it edited and all that, they said, you really need to get Meryl Hemingway to read this book. And I'm like, why would she care? Because this is who she is. She's a type A personality that excels, that has a focus on life balance. And they knew that a second book was coming. So for every one of for every one of my fiction novels, because there's another one coming too, there'll be a workbook that's a self-help to get people to think about all 13 dimensions of their life and replan them, restructure how they're approaching to show up with intentionality and authenticity to self.
Nice. So what is in this new book? And do you have any timeline for when it's coming out?
It should be out after Christmas.
Very good. So this isn't coming out till January. So we'll definitely have a link to that in our show notes. So you talked about all of the different personalities, all the different things in your characters. But what was your journey to for excellence? And I say excellence and not perfection.
Oh, I would have to say it comes from the Midwest mentality of being a steel manufacturing's daughter. My father, when he was younger, he dropped out of high school. And his father had told him, you are not going to just sit here. You're going to become, successful. And he took him and made him an apprentice for him welding. And his father was a Polish immigrant that came over just between the two wars. And in that mentality of the Midwest, that you must work and to succeed and excel and have a good life, I realized through the storytelling and the modeling that I saw from my parents, where they opened a business in a barn, and us kids, like, and since it was steel manufacturing and welding. They made aquarium stands, the metal ones, with the
Yes, yes, yes.
and they always had little plastic feet on that you put on the bottom of the metal so they wouldn't scratch people's floor or snag a carpet. And we would sit and watch TV and we would be bagging feet. We knew for this size stand, they had 2 feet, for because some of them were curved and you didn't have to. And for the ones that had needed 4, you put 4 in. And we worked at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
And that to thrive and to be successful requires you to dedicate. And sometimes it's not about your passion. Yeah. Sometimes it's about the people that work for you. And my dad would always tell us that you can follow your passion sometimes, but sometimes it's about every step you take has an impact on another person or another family. True. And you realize that when you're building jobs and you're working together, you can create something, but you always had to show up. Mm-hmm. And that was where that mentality came from.
Yeah, so true. You have to show up. Wow. So this has been tremendous. I love that we had time to share, and you shared a lot of good information, a lot of wonderful stories for us. It's time now for me to share my slide that has the contact information for Rhonda. So if you are just listening, it's time now for you to grab that paper and pencil to write the notes, but everything will be on my Vicki Noethling YouTube channel. So you can please subscribe to get to that, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com website. The website is rhondaparkertaylor.com. Again, rhondaparkertaylor.com. For Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, and all those are Rhonda Parker Taylor, her name. For X or Twitter, it's Rhonda Parker, TA1. So capital R for Rhonda, capital P for Parker, and then T, capital T, A, and the number 1 for X. For YouTube, it's at Rhonda Parker Taylor. And TikTok is also at author Rhonda Parker Taylor. Again, TikTok is at author Rhonda Parker Taylor. I'm going to let Rhonda talk to you about what you'll find on her website, how you can get that book, and what social media she spends the most time in. So Rhonda, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to thank everybody for coming. And remember that, if it's meant to be, it's up to you. It's all up to you. 1 page a day, and it's done in a year. And you can find me at all of those sites. I tried to make it easier, rhondaparkertaylor.com. And I do monitor all of them. But I probably would have to say I'm most confident and most on the Facebook one because I'm seasoned. But I am learning old new tricks as an old dog. And so TikTok, I'm trying to get it up there with you. And what I would really love to hear from all of you is that, that you enjoyed the episode. Tell us what you think and anything that you'd like to see from us at another time.
Yes. Rhonda, it's been so great chatting with you. We had a wonderful conversation today, and it is something that, I really think there's people out there that have wonderful stories. And they just need to have the courage and the confidence to put it out there.
I agree with you 100%. And everybody just enjoy it. Enjoy the journey. Journal. Do it. It's healthy.
Yes, absolutely.
Those feelings and emotions inside you, fiction or nonfiction.
Mm-hmm. So true. All right. As always, I remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling, signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.